Jurassic World Rebirth. Well, I haven't seen this one yet, but one thing I have seen is all the very heated vitriol online about this one. It doesn't seem like anyone likes it. And this is one of the first times that I've seen this kind of phenomenon. Normally there's a reason for such aggressive hatred towards a movie, whether it's political or social or whatever it may be. But I would have thought, at least at face value, that the most innocuous decision you can possibly make in greenlighting a film would be a new Jurassic Park film. I mean, many of us see them when they're released. And I saw the first one, of course, the same as everyone. It was a bit of a roller coaster ride of an experience. And certainly we hadn't seen anything like it before. And that made me think about the reasons why people get so angry at certain movies. It's not always about the film itself. I mean, a 25-year-old version of myself who was a bit less self-aware, maybe a bit less philosophical, might have had the same sort of reactions as these people online to Jurassic World, but thankfully back in those days there wasn't really a way to get online and make a fool of yourself back when the original was released, so I'm thankful for that. So as a middle-aged man, my views on film have really evolved and changed over the years, so it really shouldn't need to be said, I guess, but it does need to be said that you really need to go into different sorts of movies with different perspectives. I mean, I love B movies, exploitation movies, low budget stuff. So I have a fair sort of I guess you'd describe it as a fairly refined palate for garbage. So there is a context that you enjoy those movies in, and you kind of lay down a different set of ground rules for every type of movie that you go into. Not everything's made for everyone. It's important to remember that. So B movies or exploitation movies, whether they're horror movies, sci-fi, fantasy, whatever, martial arts, you go into those with a bit of a different perspective. You're really going into those with an appreciation that the filmmakers had no money. They were quite earnest for the most part, trying to make these things work and trying to make something artistic. And even if they fail abysmally, it's not a complete loss. Sometimes it can be an advantage. And that's how you go into those movies. Then you have your high art, your think pieces, your art house films. You're going into those with I guess an elevated expectation of certain things that'll be achieved, certain boxes that'll be ticked or not ticked. And that's how you go into those, a bit of a more serious attitude, I guess. And different things that you want to get out of it. You're probably not necessarily getting as much enjoyment out of them, but you might be more spiritually enriched, I guess, by these sort of movies. And that brings us to films like Jurassic World Rebirth. So in essence, people do go into these movies with the wrong, seeing through the wrong lenses, to use an old 3D pun. This isn't a 3D movie, I don't think, but the pun is, the pun's relevant nonetheless. So these movies are essentially just a theme park ride. You don't go into these looking for a think piece or something artistic, something spiritually enriching, something that's going to bring your childhood back, anything quite so profound. Essentially, the only difference between a movie like Jurassic World Rebirth, going to see it in the theatre, or going to a Disney theme park and riding the Jurassic World theme park ride, the only difference between those two is about 87 minutes, if the movie's 90 minutes. So essentially, these are both the same experiences. They're almost indistinguishable. In both cases, you're just getting aboard a ride. You're not expecting too much, hopefully. And you'll have a few little dopamine rushes there, a few bright lights, flashing strobe lights, and a few jump scares and things like that. Pretty thin on the plot because you don't get a great depth of depth of plot or exposition in a 3-minute theme park ride. And really, there's no difference between that and a 90-minute Jurassic World movie or Jurassic Park movie. So very similar experiences. So therefore, you really need to treat them the same way. Not get too worked up by it. You're just jumping on. Hopefully the ride's not too long. And hopefully your lunch settled in your stomach before you went on it or went into a Jurassic Park movie. And then the best that you can hope for coming out is either 3 minutes of escapism or 90 minutes of escapism. Generally, you'll forget everything that happened within 5, 10, 20 minutes, half an hour. These movies are all identical like that for me. I can't remember any of them. But that said, I did rather enjoy most of them. Going to see them theatrically, they're just a spectacle, just a theme park ride. And it really is quite foolish to expect anything of substance to these movies. Even more foolish still is to get worked up about them if you don't enjoy them. I mean, the important thing to remember is none of the people that are involved in making these movies, these Jurassic Park movies, care at all about them. They're just there for the paycheck. And they're just there to fulfill a contract obligation. None of them really give two hoots about them. They won't think about them ever again once they wrap shooting and wrap with the premiere. And that's the way that they think of them. That's the way that the screenwriter thinks of this, I'm assuming. They really... these movies are really only consequential to these people in terms of paying off the house in Malibu or paying for the next family vacation, safari in Africa or wherever. And that's all they are. So the important thing to keep in mind is that the people making Jurassic World Rebirth really don't care one way or the other about it. So it is rather foolish to get too invested, too angry about the thing that they don't care about themselves. I'm sure they don't really care that you, whether you think they're the best filmmakers on the planet or the worst filmmakers on the planet. These people don't even see themselves as filmmakers. They're just, they're basically just day traders in daydreams. So I wouldn't worry too much. Film isn't what it was anyway. So it is increasingly rare to find what you're looking for in contemporary times. You're not going to find those think pieces, those art house films for the most part. You're not going to find these ultra low budget movies made by someone who's maybe not the most talented person in the world, but they're earnest and have a heart, and that kind of translates across to those low budget B movies that we saw in the 70s and 80s. So you just aren't going to find anything like that anymore. So basically you're stuck with what you're stuck with. You either go out and experience these movies in the spirit intended, which is celluloid junk food, I guess, for these Jurassic World, Jurassic Park movies, and enjoy them for what they are, or you don't really bother going to see them. So either way is fine, but it is interesting to see the amount of vitriol that's towards this movie, especially given the fact that it is a no-brainer to greenlight something like this. It is the least controversial decision that a studio could possibly make to bank some dollars, and the backlash has been quite interesting. Some of the backlash has been really interesting because it's been coming from, I guess you'd call it the shill class of YouTube film commentary. So the people that these people have never seen a bad big budget studio movie in their lives. They'll give a glowing review for everything because there are I'm guessing there's lurks and perks to be had for saying nice things. But I think what we're seeing a bit of a dovetailing of a couple of things now. With the austerity going around in virtually every industry on the planet, everyone's cutting costs here, there, and everywhere. There probably isn't the amount of money floating around for lavish premieres and lurks and perks and payoffs and so on and so forth. So I'd say that income stream's fairly quickly dried up for a lot of content creators that were were doing quite nicely 10 or 15 years ago. And that's one factor that I think we're seeing now more increasingly. And the other factor is that there really is no better asset these days than telling the truth, especially if you're a content creator. So those days are quickly going where you could just you could BS the population hundreds of times over into telling them that this or that movie was fantastic, don't miss it. And then they shell out their hard-earned to be disappointed. So that's all coming to an end, and there's definite repercussions. People won't revisit the YouTube channel if you're one of these disingenuous people giving disingenuous opinions. So we're seeing a lot of that, and we're seeing a bit of truth come out there. So you'll probably see better film criticism come of it. It's we're entering a really interesting time for entertainment, so a lot of things are disposable content. So we are seeing that factor really play out. So as I said, I'll probably see the movie at some stage just to experience that theme park ride. And as I said, there won't be much difference between a Jurassic Park or Jurassic World movie and a Disney theme park ride, but you just need to go into these things with the right sort of perspective, and it is what it is. So I hope you've enjoyed this one. If you're interested in what you're seeing, by all means, please like, subscribe and share and all that jazz. And otherwise, I'll see you next time.